Welcome back to the channel of truth, trust, and transparency. Today, we're digging into another one of your questions. This particular gentleman, we'll call him Lucas because that's his real name, messaged me on Instagram and said this particular development related question. So hopefully if I answer this, it gives you guys at home a little bit more understanding, knowledge, insights, all that sort of stuff. Smash the subscribe button to take me all the way to 2,500 subscribers by the end of the year. Posting a video every day, and I'm currently recording this one at 10:47 p.m. at night because that's how committed I am to you guys to get this shit out. So, question goes like this. Hey mate, firstly, I think you're the only person on social media giving genuine advice. Oh, not financial advice though. And it's very refreshing over all these BAs. So thank you, long-time fan. Firstly, I appreciate that. The reason I've started this channel and my podcast close to 3 years ago was because all the BA content out there is absolute crap. I'm 29, I have 4 IPs, I have 800K cash in the bank from my refinance. I want to pivot into development. Has been my goal since I remember and would appreciate your advice. So firstly, he's built the base. Tick. You've done a video previously about the amount of cash required to get started. However, my question is, how can you have confidence that the cash you have will be sufficient for a development when you are relying on the banks as if completion valuation to determine your cash contribution? To get to the point where you can get the bank's valuation, as I understand, you'd need to have purchased the site and completed the full set of drawings. Seems like you could easily get caught out with not having the cash if you get a conservative valuation and you're left overcapitalizing on the property with no next steps. Would love a video explaining how to move through the process step by step with the confidence that you'll have the cash to execute the deal. Cheers. I will keep supporting your YouTube channel. End goal is to build capital about 10 million one day to invest into commercial real estate and create a passive income at 5% return per annum and retire early. Good thing is, if you get into commercial, you get a better than 5% return, and you probably don't need 10 million for what you need, because 10 million of commercial real estate paid off, returning you 5% is going to be 500K a year, which is more than enough for anyone. So Lucas, so first and foremost, what I'll say is the game of getting vals to stack up is the game every single developer has to play per project. It doesn't come easy most of the time. You've got to work for it, and you have to have, I suppose number one is having solid comps. So remember when I said when you're looking at, and I will introduce you to that bell curve of when you're looking at to invest in a particular suburb, to develop in the suburb, you want to be attacking the bell curve here, where you have 3, 4, 5 examples of the type of project you're wanting to do. Too early, and you will find yourself with no comps and a low valuation. Too late, and you might see the comps are low, or for example, if there's heaps of that product on the market, some developers will just want to get that stock off their book and they'll sell it for a loss, or they'll sell it for, just below market value just to get rid of it, to turn the cash over. And then what you have low comps. They'll sell off the plan, or they'll do sort of that shit. So you need to make sure you have solid comps, which comes with 2, timing the market. Now, it's funny, I've got a project that I'm starting at the moment that I am out here on. But there's a particular reason for that, and it'll come to fruition when I start to do my videos on site at the later part of this year. Keep an eye out for that one, but it's a special story. 2 is timing the market. So 3, let's look at there's sort of 2 ways. Look, people will say there's a number of ways, but there's sort of 2 main ways which should probably be starting out, Lucas, to secure the site is number 1, number 2. I want to walk you through the process. So number 1 is I do the FISO, number one, and I've done it both ways, by the way. So number one is I run the FISO, I buy the site, I run the FISO, the numbers work, I buy the site, I do it in a PTY LTD, or you can do it in a trust. I settle on it. I buy it as a development site. The banks from their perspective think it's going to be think it's an investment property. I buy it as an investment property, which means I put down a 20% deposit plus purchasing costs. So think stamp duty, settlement fees, all those kinds of things, conveyances, Obviously no LMI, but I put down a 20% deposit plus costs. I then pay for planning. After that, my process then is after I get the DA approved, stamped, document stamped, or it can be a CDC. My last couple of projects have been DA. Then you will do a valuation. You go to a commercial broker or a development broker or a specialist. If you need a hand or you need a recommendation, let me know. You go, you get a valuation done. They'll say your project is worth, this is typically what happens. They'll say your project has a value of X, right? And again, what that comes up with will determine the comps, the timing of the market, all that kind of stuff. So there's two parameters that they will lend on: loan to cost and loan to value. Loan to cost, they will lend 80% of costs. Loan to value, they will lend 70%, right? So they'll do the valuation, they'll pump it in, and they'll run the numbers here. The good thing is that by doing it this way, what you're able to do is secure the site, get planning for it. Now, if you do the valuation and it comes in low, and they run through and they go, Lucas, you need to give another 2, 3, 4, 500. Firstly, you got 800K, so you got plenty of room to play with. But secondly, if you are short of cash, if you do it this way, it makes it really easy for you to find an equity partner or a JV partner to say, hey, mate from down the road or person I know with a lot of money, hey, I've got this site, I own the site, I've got planning, I need a little bit of money to get it under construction. You can do a loan there and give them a fixed rate percentage return for you to get in and run that deal and to complete that deal. But basically, after you get the planning, sorry, I've probably missed a step. After you do the planning, you will then get a build. You do a build tender. After you do a tender, select builder. After you do builder, you will get a contract. Then I'm going to take the contract and the building plans, and then I'm going to get my val, and then I'm going to work it out and workshop it from there. Now, let's talk through a project and run you through the numbers. So loan to value ratio is typically net GST. Apologies if I might be getting into the weeds a little bit, but you need to understand this. So if you've got a site that's worth that you are going to sell for $3 million, maybe it's a duplex, $1.5 million a site. To calculate your GST, you're hopefully going to use what's called the margin scheme. To calculate your GST costs, it's not 10% of that amount. You're going to do land price minus GR. Land price minus GR, times that by 1/11, and that will give you your GST price. I know at $3 million, the GST is probably going to be in the vicinity of 200 grand using the GST margin scheme, which means you will then have a total project profit net of GST of $2.8 million. As a developer, I'm trying to make a 20% margin. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to 2.8. We're going to times that by 2. So I'm looking to make $560,000. So I'm going to take 560 from 2.8 equals $2.24 million. That is my total costs. That is my profit. Those two together gets me to my end value. That sort of links back to that previous video I did. But to work out what I'll need, they'll give, the bank will lend typically a loan to cost ratio of 80%. So the bank will lend me 80% typically of this figure. So 2.24, if I times that by 0.8, the bank will lend me 1.792, which means I will need to make up the difference between both of those. So 224 minus 1792. I will need to come up with, for this particular development, $448,000, which is very accurate. I know doing projects of that amount, that's very accurate. So that's the first way to do it. The benefit of doing it this way is there's less money up front. So if you're buying, say, $1 million site, you might be up with 200 grand, 50 grand for stamps, 100 grand. You might be up for 350. It's only when you get down to here and do that val, will your commercial broker say, oh, look, the bank, the bank or the second tier, third tier, whoever it is, will lend you this much. You still need to put in 150, 200 grand. You'll get to that point, but the benefit you have is that you've done that project, you've got it approved to that point there. The other way that you're going to do it is if you go into buy it straight away with dev finance, which you can do, and that's you saying from the start, you being upfront and saying, hey, this is going to be a development site. This is going to be a development site. And even if it is a development site, what they will want from you is they will want this money up front and into the deal, which will mean you would need to come in with probably about a 40% deposit on that site, that $400,000 or $500,000 straight up front. So it could be 4, could be 500, but they'll work it out the same way. You need to put that money up front. Now, the benefit of doing it this way, number 2, is that when I do it dev finance, I don't need to show any financials. Basically, they just care about me having this amount of money to put down as a deposit for the loan. And they go, David's put down 40%. We know if shit hits the fan and we need to sell this, he's got enough skin in the game for us to complete it. From there, I can get into this. I don't have to put down any financials. I don't have to show that I can buy $1 million, $2, $3 million site and have any personal income. On this side, I do. On this side, I have to put less money down. So it's kind of like you choose what suits you best and what depending on your work circumstances. So when I use this side here, I was still working a 9-to-5 job. Did a equity cash out and used my own cash. I actually sold a property as well to get the cash. Did my equity cash out, bought there. But since there, when I've needed to buy other ones, because I'm sort of self-employed and you need to wait a few years and all that kind of stuff, when I buy with dev finance, I just expect to come in with a bigger deposit. So there's pros and cons of each. Obviously, there's things like vendor finance, if the homeowner and you partner up with them, and that stuff does start to get a little bit complicated, but just trying to break it down for you is that, yeah, you will need, typically, the bank will give you 80% loan to cost or even a 7% loan to value ratio, which equals out to be roughly the same. Both making sure you're net of GST, but yeah, but that's probably the summary of how you're going to calculate it and work out how much you need. Again, the best way to be not surprised is, 1, know your numbers from a feasibility point of view. So when you're trying to work out, you can work and you can use it that way, work backwards, but you also need to know your costs. So when we were saying that, you know, they'll lend 80% of your costs, that's me working it back off the land value, but you need to make sure and verify that your costs for the project are going to be 2.24 If they're going to be higher, then, and you're making less than 20% profit, you know, if you're making 15, then that amount there is going to go up. So that's how you need to know your numbers there. You also need to make sure when you're doing your comps that you have those really decent comps. You're not being one of those people, and I see it all the time with developers. They go, yeah, look, this is the same. Yeah, we're going to get the same as this, or we're going to get 20, 10, 20, 30% more. And then you look at the comps and you go, wait up, you're building 3 betters, that's a 4 better. Or you're building a 4 better as well, but you've got 1 car, they've got 2 car spaces, or it's in a more prestigious pocket. Now, the valuer doesn't spend too much time on these valuations. However, you just want to make sure that you have solid comps and your market is not oversaturated. If it's oversaturated, you're going to get people selling, you know, off the plan. When they sell off the plan, you obviously get less of a premium. When there's too much stock on market and it's saturated, you're going to get the rookie investors that go, oh shit, I'm just going to sell now, or, you know, it's been on market for so long, I don't give a fuck anymore, I just need to sell it to get out of the project. So you'll pick up a lot of low comps in those sorts of markets. So again, time your market here, yeah? Make sure there's solid comps, 3 to 4 comps in close proximity to where you're developing and what you're doing. Make sure it's like for like, apples with apples. That is bedroom and bathroom count. That is garage count. That's internal size. That is also lot size and finishes. Those are the main things that you want to look at, right? There's no use comparing things that are 100 meters internal to 300 meters internal, or if it's 322 to a 421, it's very hard to be able to make that. So that's my goal for you, Lucas. And then working out and working backwards, sort of your ways in terms of how you can secure it and when you'll need the money will depend on your current working circumstance, your current work circumstances, and if you can show and buy it, if you can show serviceability and buy it that way, or you want to go down the dev route. If you do as well, sort of go down the dev route, the step-by-step is going to be, you know, you get that under contract. You can even go to your broker beforehand and get them to run the numbers. Again, if you need a development broker here. You don't need a normal mortgage broker. You need someone that specializes in development. You can run it to them firsthand and be like, hey, I'm looking at sites. You can give them that rundown FISO and they can run it and say, oh, this is what we estimate. So that is another way you can check it. Then you get a contract, you get it under contract, or you make an offer. Offer is accepted, perfect. And then I will go and I'll give the contract and the FISO, I'll give that to the valuer. I'll get a valuation done. And then after I get the valuation done, they'll say, oh, to settle on that site, you're going to need X amount of dollars. Then we can settle. And then I can roll straight into it. And as long as the rest of the project in terms of the construction is as per the FISO, you shouldn't be up for anything else. But that is my answer to the question, Big Lucas. Hopefully provided some value for you. If you're watching along and you've got any questions or this did provide value, would appreciate it. Hit subscribe. But if not, I will see you guys again tomorrow. Let's keep this thing running. Baby, let's go.